It's overwhelming, and which helps because Forky is very overwhelmed. But I remember when they brought me up to Pixar and they kind of described him as, he's kind of nervous, and I was like, check. He asks a lot of questions, check. And he's kind of gullible to a fault, and I was like, bingo, I'm in. So I just love that he, sees everything as new, and I mean, mainly I love that he's a character that his home place is trash. That's all he knows, is to help people eat soup. And then Woody comes along and shares that he has a greater purpose. And I think just in life, anybody who might see themselves that way, and they have worth, they have purpose. And that's just a beautiful message that Toy Story is giving us.
Well, lovely, with, a new, improved, emboldened, courageous, seasoned gal. It's been lovely.
Read the script, that's hilarious. The way this has worked, on the first one, and this was now 4 years ago, we actually did read a script. It was a screenplay that looked like every other screenplay. You read that, and then you saw every storyboard animatic of the entire story. The second movie, there was a script, but there was no really. We had made one. We had the understanding of it. We realized there's no real way you can appreciate the weaving of imagery and character that Pixar did on the paper. So we really did wait to see the sequences put together. The third one, they didn't even bother doing anything other than showing us the movie in animatic form before we began recording. And on this one, I never read a complete script. I don't think anybody did, but we read the sequences that we were in and had a continuous running dialogue of what was going. These movies are made with a great flexibility of it. They work on it, you record it, they start off with the storyboards and words that you say, and then you record them, and then they go away for 6 months and refine and alter and change and test what we have done up to that point. And so every time we would show up to work, there would be some new iteration of this idea that had been presented to us at the beginning of what everybody is going through. And what was brand new on this one was that Annie and I got to record together at the same time. And that never happens. You're always in a sound stage by yourself, not being able to move off mic. And we got to actually relate with this vast history between the two of us, you'd leave a recording studio session thinking, wow, we took it pretty far there. But every time we showed up for the next one, something was revealed to us in the pages that they had for us. So we always knew what territory we were going into, but never the specific route.
It's sort of like acting as a treasure hunt.
Woody has been the great gift that I've seen play out again and again in my own family, as well as sort of around the world, even in the cultures that it's not my voice, in Spanish or Mandarin or what have you. Woody still is this three-dimensional emotional bag that kids carry around with them. What I have truly appreciated is that no matter how old you are now, you are when you see one of the movies, you're the same age you were when you saw the first one. And there's not a bump, there's not a jolt, there's no nostalgia, nothing ages poorly. It's exactly as it was and sort of always will be. And I think in some ways it's like the definitive Disney enterprise is that there is a cohesiveness and an eternal quality to not just the stories and the characters, but the emotional bonds that we all have with each one of them. And I have always been dazzled when they have come back and said, we're going to try another one. Because the question always is, oh, really? Well, ain't you guys bold? You think you can match that last one we did? Well, good luck. And then they say, well, as soon as they start talking about Gabby Gabby or Duke Kaboom or the true catalyst of Toy Story 4, so much that it's called Toy Story Forky Tony Hale is Forky. Because look at that, look what he is. He is a bunch of stuff that has been empowered by the imagination of his creator. And that is the essential, that's what being a toy is. That's the great power of what a toy has. So they did it. These crackpot geniuses up there at Pixar, the 900 or so of them that operate in their darkened rooms and take out food for months at a time.
I mean it when I say that I'm still kind of waking up to this. So even you saying that, I'm like, sorry, say that again. You know, it's hard to even digest because this has been such a iconic franchise that I never thought that I would be a part of something, but. To what Woody, I just called him Woody. He's always Woody to me. But to what Tom was saying is there was a simplicity to Forky that I just absolutely fell in love with, and the fact that he's made from pipe cleaners and a spork and little popsicle sticks, and he brings Bonnie so much joy. And he's brought into the world. He doesn't understand the rules of the universe. He's very confused when people drop to the ground, when humans walk in. You know, he's just kind of always wide-eyed, and he's very present. And I loved the simplicity of it. And it's been a huge honor to voice him. But I will say, we are so grateful to be here and to be these voices. But we are such a small piece of the pie of what is involved in Toy Story. The amount of artistry and creatives and tremendous labor that has gone into this movie outside of us. I mean, the attention needs to be shined on that because they really have worked so hard, and it's just, the movie is eye candy. It's just such a visual masterpiece. It really is.
It's not just because we have made these movies for the last 25 years, but I think that we all sort of know how commerce works right now. And there is this protocol that says you have a movie coming out, so therefore you build a land or you put a game on it, and whether the movie is decent or not, you have to put up. You can't escape it, no matter how much you want it, you know. But there has been this interesting thing about Toy Story is that it exists sort of by audience demand, by way of audience need. If the second movie hadn't worked out or it had petered out somehow, I think we would have lost the confidence of everybody who has watched it. So all of these movies exist because they were willed into existence by the audience who was willing to invest it and return right where they were, and by the people at Pixar who did not take their responsibilities lightly when it comes down to Toy Story. They have to be able to reach a level of gravitas or import or connection. And that land over there is the example of it as well. I mean, they could have banged one of those things out pretty quickly, you know, and it would still be up. But this is now a thing because they're not just iconographic images, they're actually emotional beats that people carry with them. And it's only because these movies have been so important. We're on our fifth or sixth generation now. How long does a generation last? 3.5 years? I don't know. But you know, when the next one comes into consciousness, there's now, it's almost as though they were just now going to build a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or something like that. Because you could view it as being late, but because it has garnered this kind of like attention and the attention of you all, that it's kind of like fitting and proper that it exists now. You know,
it also makes so much sense to me that Woody is in front at the park because he is so welcoming and so like he's the father that you just guiding you through life, and there's just such a warmth that Tom has created in these creators.
He's the guy. I think I have said these 3 words more on the Toy Story movies than I've said anywhere else in my life, and it has always been, "Come on, guys!" I've said, "Come on, guys," 8 billion times in some iteration of all the Toy Story stuff. There is a profound thing that comes from being Forky or Bo or Woody. That brief story. You've been to Disneyland as well. I don't know if they have it at Disney World, but they have that fantastique, whatever, and everybody's fireworks and there's dancers. And in Disneyland, the closing of the show is the Mark Twain steamboat comes by, and all of the Disney characters are dancing on the steamboat. Belle and Sleeping Beauty and Mickey and everyone. Mulan is there. They're all there. Captain Hook, Peter Pan. And I was there with my family. My daughter, who's in her 30s, burst into tears. I said, "What's wrong?" And she said, "Look, Dad, look at the end of the boat." And it was Woody and Buzz. And she said, "Dad, you will always be on that boat dancing for the rest of time as long as Disneyland is here." And that's more than just a cool thing. It's actually some sort of talisman, I think, that we all get to carry with us now, just because we were smart enough to say, "How do you think we should do this, guys? Come on, guys! How do you think?" There was something that was ridiculously exciting. The first, much like what they did with you, they took a line from, believe it or not, Turner and Hooch, and animated Woody saying, "Don't eat the car, don't eat the car, you're eating the car, stop eating the car." And I just looked at it, it was just a figure on a blue background, and I sort of like, well, how did they do that? That was one question. But then what the story was all the way through, it was a bit of a very, very tough job. I think truly recording these things, you have to stand still and inhabit a physical space that is usually wrenched with. My diaphragm always hurts after a recording studio because come on, guys! It's all that some version of that plays all the way through. But upon seeing it, when it was all done, there was just no doubt that something had been created here that was much bigger or grander than I think anybody sort of anticipated. It was just special, and that doesn't happen very much. So what started off as, "Oh yeah, I'm doing a thing, and there'll be a voice, and I guess there'll be a doll," and that was one thing. But then when it became what it was, the question was then is what's the import of this going to be? How far is this going to have influence? And it only continued along because the next story was not just a sequel. It was not just a cashing in, but it was a more investment in what the original asked of us all. We have these talking points that we've been given in regards to talking about whatever future may come to pass. Just give me a second, I'll give you the official rendition of what I'm supposed to say in regards to a possible other Toy Story.
I think you just said a lot of stuff you weren't supposed to.
I think I just did.
Pretty sure about that. What did we relate to about it? Well, I'm 66 years old. I've said goodbye to a lot of people and hello and, held hands and looked out into a new future. And that was sweet to play that out. As we said earlier, I never saw the full script. I never knew exactly what I was doing. Over time, I became aware how important the role was going to be, but not until 3 weeks ago when I saw the thing, I told Josh afterwards, I said, "Thank you so much for putting this crown on my head. I think she's so lovely, and I hope that my wish was to bring all the experience of my long, colorful life to Kick-Ass Bo."
Well,
Wait, this could be talking points.
I will say that Woody has known since 1994 that Bo was the figurine for him. He just always knew it. And Let me check these talking points.
They're getting harder and harder to find.
Here it is. Toy Story 4 reunites Woody and his long-lost friend Bo Peep, who's become an adventure-seeking free spirit. So
Let's give a collective aww.